Morning. How you guys doing today? So I thought I would record a quick video sort of giving you my impression about the differences between managing single-family homes, small multis, and then apartment buildings. So just to give, kind of rough numbers, I believe I've owned or managed 50 single-family homes over the last 15 or 16 years. Had some small multis, let's call them between 2 and 6 units. Probably had 20 of those. And then had apartment buildings ranging from 7 to 18. 18's been the largest. We've owned 3 of those over the years. So that's the frame of reference where this experience comes from. But I thought I would share them with you. Again, the idea for this video really came from watching all of the social media and kind of all the press that's kind of talking about syndication and apartments, kind of under the guise that apartments are the better option. And while I'll admit that apartments can be great, especially when you find value-add opportunities, I do believe that apartments, for the most part, are priced for perfection these days. And I want you to, I wanted to at least give you my opinion on the differences between single-family homes, small multis, and apartment buildings. Because I want you to go in with your eyes wide open. So why don't we start with single-family homes? These are kind of the bread and butter, small mom-and-pop landlording, things that people buy. It's the thing that we're probably most familiar with. When we buy properties is that single-family home. So in my opinion, they are obviously the easiest to manage, right? There's kind of usually one family, unless you're house hacking or something like that, usually one family to deal with. You have the standard, one roofs, one water heaters, all of that. But what some people miss when they haven't managed or run other types of properties is it's the one that has the least additional expenses on the owner. What do I mean by that? Well, if you have a small multi, that has a little courtyard or grass or lighting or anything of that nature, the landlord or the owner has to pay that, right? You're not going to bill back tenants, at least in most cases, for watering the courtyard, common areas, providing lighting, maybe it's electricity for the washer and dryers, who knows? But you get to give that all back to the tenant. So really what you as the landlord, other than repairs, right, and the legality of evictions and stuff like that, is you're paying taxes and insurance. And for some of you, property management. That's what I did, right? Those are your expenses. And for the most part, those are fixed and relatively easy to calculate. So a home is the easiest to understand. It's the easiest to manage, but there's more benefits. Most people, when they're buying single-family homes as a rental or being a landlord, they're buying them as the owner, right? They're not a collection of 10, 20, 50, 100 people, right? So it's on you, right? You get to make all the decisions. You don't have to go to anybody else. If there's stuff that have to be done, it's kind of on you, right? So that's a unique benefit. In addition to that, it's the easiest to finance, right? Especially if you're going through 4, you can get residential financing and all of that. And then the last thing about single-family homes that is often missed but critically important is, hi Tom, how are you? Thanks for the text or chat or whatever that is. I appreciate it. I really do. Thanks for watching. But the last thing I want to say about single-family homes is the average tenure of my tenants is more than double. And why that's important for you if you're looking at buying rental properties is a tenant turnover can crush your year. I've had tenant turnovers take my entire cash flow for the year for a property. That's not fun. So I like to have assets where tenants, ideally stay for a decade, right? If they stay past 2 years, it's generally, it starts to be good. But tenants that stay less than 2 years, that gets really expensive, and it's difficult to consistently make positive cash flow if that's how fast your turnover is. So I don't think single-family homes get all the good news, and I'm not sure why. And maybe it's boring, maybe it's not sexy, maybe the numbers aren't there. But boy, if I had just a big portfolio of single-family homes and I had a property manager in place, that would be okay by me. So that's single-family homes. So now small multis. Again, let's talk about duplexes or 2 through 6. That's kind of the small size. these are kind of the ones, if you want to self-manage, I kind of like, right, the 2 through 6. And to be clear, I've never self-managed, but I've bought from other landlords who did self-manage. And the kind of 2 through 6 is kind of the right size. I think bigger than that, just get out of the way, because otherwise it just becomes a job. But 2 through 6, again, like single-family homes, like I mentioned there, you're going to have to pay for things like water, garbage, maybe electricity for the common areas. You do get a little bit better, kind of capital deployment because you have one roof, right? There's generally, one of things that allow you to have less of the big capital expenses, but not many, right? You do get a little bit more cash flow because you can suffer a vacancy and still likely cash flow depending on what you paid. I don't mind the 2 through 6s, but again, when we go back to my last point about single family homes, they have higher turnover, right? Especially if they're bigger multifamilies, right? What I mean by that is they're like 2, 3, 4 bedrooms. Those have ridiculously high turnovers. I think people move into those because they have to for a short-term need, but their desire is to get a home. I don't mind, like if I was going to get a duplex through 6s, I'd want them to be, maybe 1 or 2 bedrooms. Because if you get much bigger than that, you may suffer higher turnover as people move to houses, right? There are exceptions. There was a 6-unit building I had for a while where it was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. It really felt like, the nicest place these people would live. So that was, an exception. But if it's just a regular old unit, white paint on the walls and, kind of just average stuff in the kitchen and bath, they're going to leave pretty quick. And then that leaves apartment buildings, right? So apartment buildings, again, for my video, 7 to 18 units, the only experience I have. Wow. First off, this is active management, right? You're going to have seemingly daily things to deal with as you have that many people in very close proximity. You will have just tenant drama where tenant A doesn't like tenant B and tenant C has loud music and parties, and just the drama factor in the more units can go off the charts and is unexpected. In addition, my tenant turnover inside these units can be less than 2 years. And as I mentioned with single family homes, that can get really expensive. So when you manage bigger units, it is absolutely active management. If you get above 16 in California, you have to have an on-site manager. So there's another cost. And I just think, when you get that many people in that close proximity together, it becomes active management that you need to appreciate that and budget for that and expect that. And I don't, of all the calculations I've seen from the bigger apartment buildings talking about deals people are finding, it just feels like they're priced for perfection. And then the last thing that talk about here in apartments is if you're getting into the really big ones, you likely are getting in with other partners, right? Sometimes called a syndication, where you are the money and somebody else is doing the general management. And yes, that can be a little lower stress and all of that, but your trust factor and all the things you have to do has to go up. Right, you're going to be basically managing the manager, which is fine, right? If you got a busy job, maybe that's the right way to go. But at the end, it's not yours, right? You own a sliver of it. And really what you own is a sliver of the cash flow, right? And if maybe you're getting a K1, there's a sliver of depreciation and things of that nature. But in my opinion, apartment buildings can be great in the right cycle. I just don't know that we're in the right cycle, frankly. I think single-family homes are better today on average. Now, not every market, but I think on average, single-family homes are a better buy today than apartment buildings. And I just wanted to put that out there because I like the fact that everybody's talking about apartments. It's great. But I need people to realize that there's active management, higher turnover, a lot more expenses. And if you're buying a building that's priced for perfection, you're probably not going to like the result. So at the end, I just thought I would do a quick video on differences between a single family home, small multis, and the bigger ones. Again, all of this is from my experience. All of this is my opinions. Take it for what it's worth. But I wanted to make sure I put this out there. All right, everybody, have a great Sunday. Take care.